From the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10.
And we begin tonight zeroing in on Hurricane Florence. With another round of evacuations announced today, everyone is bracing for this storm. We have team coverage across the area. Aisha Tolliver joins us in Norfolk with what these evacuations mean for those in public housing. Plus, Brett Hall shows us shopping conditions in Virginia Beach, looking closer at everything people are doing to prepare for this storm. And we'll give you a closer look at who is involved in that Zone A evacuation. But first, Chief Meteorologist Don Slater is back in the Weather Center. And Don, we just got that brand new 11 p.m. update.
Yeah, we have it. I've had time to digest it a little bit and put it together here for you graphically. Let's go to it, show you what's going on. It's a very, very well-formed hurricane right now, and it's likely to get even stronger here in the next couple of days. Right now, it's, again, really, really well-formed. I want to show you the latest on what's going on with it. There's where it is in relation to our part of the world, and it has 140-mile-an-hour winds. It is a Category 4 storm. It is moving to the west-northwest at about 13 miles an hour. Forecast track has changed a little bit since late this afternoon, early this evening, in terms of where we expect this to be. Want to show you what's going on. 150-mile-an-hour winds coming up by 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. Now we move on into 8 o'clock on Wednesday evening. 150-mile-an-hour winds, very strong storm by then. Now, those where things are by Thursday evening, still 140-mile-an-hour winds. Here's where the forecast track has changed a little bit, and you do not want to focus on exactly the center line here. You want to focus on what's going on with this cone and where it could make landfall. Basically, from Hatteras or basically on up to Waves, Rodanthe, Salvo, and on farther southward all the way down to almost Myrtle Beach. Now, there's where things are in terms of making landfall. It slowed it down a little bit Friday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning during the overnight hours, making landfall between Wilmington and Morehead City is right on into here, and here's Hatteras. But remember, this cone extends from around Waves, Rodanthe, Salvo on down to Myrtle Beach. It gets a lot wider even coming up by Friday, but by then it is indeed a tropical storm and weakening pretty rapidly. Remember, it's gone from 140-mile-an-hour winds down to 60 in 24 hours because it's been over land by that point. And thereafter, it becomes a tropical depression, and I've added in all these spaghetti forecast models to show you just how crazy things are in terms of where we think this is going to go or where they think it's going to go. They don't really have an idea where it's going to go, and that's going to be the problem in the long run. So the impact landfall possible from Hatteras roughly to Myrtle Beach, models are not agreeing entirely, and the timing is going to be Thursday into Saturday and possibly beyond. Now, with this Thursday starting date in terms of Hampton Roads, it'll likely be Wednesday night for the Outer Banks. You get a little time to make some decisions, but not a lot. And you're going to have to watch it really, really carefully over the next couple of days. We'll have a lot more information for you coming up in a few minutes.
A reminder overnight, VDOT is testing the tide gate to the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel ahead of the storm. Crews want to make sure that the gates can close properly in case they have to seal the tunnel to stop it from flooding. And they will stop eastbound traffic from 1 a.m. until 2 a.m., then westbound from 2 a.m. until 3 a.m. If you're traveling during that time, take the Monitor Merrimack Bridge Tunnel instead. School closings are pouring in across the area tonight as well. Virginia Beach Public Schools announced it's closed until further notice starting tomorrow, along with Newport News, Hampton, and Norfolk. Portsmouth and Chesapeake are also closed tomorrow. Suffolk schools will be open tomorrow. Local colleges are announcing closings tomorrow, starting with Old Dominion University. We're working on a full list. You can find that over on wavy.com. Of course, we'll also keep you updated on closings and shelters tomorrow morning. Meteorologist Jamie Wheeler is on your side with the latest track on Florence. That's going to come out around 5 a.m. Join the entire morning team tomorrow for Wavy News 10 Today, starting at 4:30, and they are on air until 9 a.m. on Fox 43. Our team coverage continues now in Norfolk, where Governor Ralph Northam has ordered a mandatory evacuation for Zone A, the most flood-prone areas of the Tidewater region. The evacuation goes into effect at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. 10 on your side, Aisha Tolliver talked to Norfolk residents in that zone. And Aisha, have they made preparations?
Well, Anita, I talked to people who live in Calvert Square, and, some of them have plans to move inland, while others are planning on heading straight to the shelters once those are announced. But, most of them say they aren't staying home.
cars have been flooded, relatives coming over, my car, family members. It's just a mess.
The flooding is horrible out here. People who live at the Calvert Square apartment say the flooding in their neighborhood after a rainstorm causes a lot of problems. So they're scared to think about what could happen over the next several days with Hurricane Florence making its way.
The smallest rainstorm, it floods very severely out here. So I know with a major hurricane, it's going to be worse.
One woman says the rising water has never gone into her home but flooded multiple cars, even her husband's. She says she had to help him scoop out the water for hours once.
One time, went to go get him a 7-Eleven big up cup. He said, no, not no cup, give me a bucket. I looked in the car, I said, oh my God.
She says she's taken the hurricane very seriously. So now that they know they're in a mandatory evacuation zone, they've already figured out where they're going to go.
We plan to head more inland. We're going to find a hotel and seek shelter out there where it's not going to be flooded. That way, we know we're safe.
I'm just going to do what I got to do. We're going to try to, go ahead and evacuate and go to the nearest shelter.
Norfolk City spokesperson Lori Crouch says they plan to announce the shelters available for residents sometime tomorrow, along with transportation options. For those who don't have cars, public transit is still operating. And again, the evacuation for Zone A begins 8 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be sure to update you with the Norfolk shelter openings when those are there. But for now, in Norfolk, I'm Aisha Tolliverton on your side.
Thank you, Aisha. Some of those Norfolk shelters were announced today. Shelters will provide meals and place to sleep, and 2 in particular will also welcome your pets. Both Bayview Rec Center and Berkeley Community Center will open at noon on Wednesday. Congressman Scott Taylor stopped briefly at the one planned at Bayview this afternoon. He says don't be afraid to use the resource.
The potential here is very for a very strong storm that could stay here for a while and that could have devastating consequences for our areas.
Additional shelters may open if conditions get worse. Find more information on shelters in Virginia Beach and in Suffolk over on WAVY.com. The command for Coast Guard Sector Hampton Roads discussed hurricane preparations at a conference earlier this evening. They want you to understand their ability to perform search and rescue during the storm is going to be hindered. So Coast Guard officials say people need to take precautions. First, don't be out in the water before, during, or right after the storm. And if you can put your boat on a trailer, now is the time to do that. They also say if you don't have a trailer, you need to bring your boat to a safe location on high ground.
We have been monitoring the progress and the track of Hurricane Florence very closely. And we are here to pass a message today that if you are in the Tidewater region in Hampton Roads and you're not taking this storm seriously, you are making a mistake. And that mistake could be a fatal one.
Captain Carroll says they are taking steps to close the port of Hampton Roads. They say the full closure of the port will start at noon on Wednesday. The good news, it does appear that people are taking this seriously. Parking lots at stores selling everything from batteries to water have been packed. 10 on your side's Brett Hall is in one of those lots in Norfolk right now. Brett.
Yeah, Anita, still very packed at 11 o'clock on a Monday night at the Walmart here. People going in and out of that grocery section looking for groceries, many of which now are gone, like bread and water and batteries, some of those too. But everybody says they're going to be going to as many stores as they need to go to get everything they need. Managers of the Farm Fresh off Diamond Springs Road in Virginia Beach say keeping the shelves stocked the last few days has been a sport. The spectators,
I didn't want to be left out.
Customers like Robert Brown.
Yeah, I come out here because I was figuring the storm might come and I didn't want to be sitting home and didn't have anything to drink like water, sodas or something like that, so I was just trying to make the best of the storm if we get hit.
Bread, batteries, water, headed to the checkout with the cart full.
Water, and I got other foods at home.
Many people have been through a storm or two before. Ellen Powers knows roads surrounding her neighborhood could become impassable.
First View Street, right there in front of Greenies.
Oh, yeah.
It floods a lot.
It's why she has enough supplies to last for a few days. Things that won't spoil, like canned soups and ravioli.
I'm going to get peanut butter for one thing and some jelly, and that's about it.
Trying to prepare with a smile and be ready for anything.
Because I have something at home, I just was trying to make sure I had a plenty.
And the store managers we spoke with says right now trucks are on schedule to restock those shelves tomorrow morning. Live in Norfolk, Brett Hall, 10 on your side.
Thank you, Brett. Get the 2018 WAVY Hurricane Guide if you haven't already. It has important information like what to put your hurricane kit in and evacuation routes. Download one now from WAVY.com. New tonight, Portsmouth police officers are working to separate two shootings with 3 victims total. The first call came in at 7 on Stanton Avenue near Deep Creek Boulevard and Jefferson Street. Police found 1 victim there. A short time later, someone showed up at Maryview Medical Center with a gunshot wound. Officials say the 2 are connected. Around 7:10, police got the call for a 2-vehicle crash in Portsmouth on High Street and Douglas Avenue. 1 person in that crash had a gunshot wound. They are still investigating how all of these are related to each other. Now, new tonight, Virginia Beach officials have filed a lawsuit against major opioid manufacturers and distributors. They're pointing to 114 overdose deaths in the city since 2016 and more than 520 opioid overdoses total. The lawsuit hits companies like Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, and Walgreens for various costs. That includes money paid by the city for medical care for those suffering from addiction, including infants. You can see the full list for the lawsuit over on WAVY.com. Coming up, we are breaking this Zone A evacuation zone down. We'll take a closer look at exactly who is involved in the order. And we're continuing to track Hurricane Florence as it turns toward the East Coast. We just got the 11 p.m. update, and Chief Meteorologist Don Slater shows us what has changed. We've talked a lot about a mandatory evacuation that goes into effect at 8 a.m. Tuesday morning for Zone A, which includes close to 250,000 people in Hampton Roads. It's especially for those areas that have seen flooding before, that are prone to it. Well, tonight, Virginia's emergency website is dealing with overloads as people are trying to look up their zones, trying to find this map, along with a phone line connected to 211. We're on your side, breaking down that map for you. Everything in blue is Zone A, starting on the west side of the area. Zone A includes areas all around the Nansemond River. This is for those of you all in Suffolk and its tributaries. Try to move out of that area, maybe into Zone B, C, or even D if you can. These evacuations stretch along the western, eastern, and southern branch of the Elizabeth River as well. As you can see here, again, the areas in blue are what we're talking about. So if you live in Portsmouth, Zone A includes the Portsmouth Naval Hospital, Old Town, downtown, Norfolk Naval Shipyard, Craddock, and even Gilmerton. In Chesapeake, many people along the Intercoastal Canal will need to evacuate. Many areas of Norfolk are located in Zone A. We see them flood time and time again. So a reminder, we're looking at the areas in blue. Those are the areas that we're talking about. It includes the Lafayette River, downtown, and Ghent. It includes Lambert's Point, parts of Colonial Place, Lakewood, Tanglewood, and Grandy. It also includes those who live up near the airport as well, and Willoughby Spit. In northern Virginia Beach, evacuations are underway for Lynn Haven Shores and First Landing. And if you go to the southern portions of Virginia Beach, areas such as Red Wing Lake, the Dam Neck Annex area, down to Sandbridge, Back Bay, and Pungo are going to need to be prepared to leave tomorrow morning. So parts of the peninsula are also a part of Zone A. We want to show those to you again. They're all the areas that are in blue. That's Zone A. You can see here. Starts in Seaford, Poquoson. Most of Poquoson's in Zone A. It involves areas around Langley, Riverdale, Buckrow, Fort Monroe, and parts of downtown as well. In Newport News, it includes a lot of the East End and Greenwood Bay. Again, Zone A includes nearly 250,000 people in Hampton Roads. Those evacuations start Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Of course, there are mandatory evacuations underway on the Outer Banks right now as well. So Chief Meteorologist Don Slater joins us in the Weather Center because there's a lot going on. And Don, people really need to heed and listen to these warnings.
Yeah, they really do. Now, the thing about this is, one good thing about this is you've got neighbors and you have your own experience as well. If you're new to the area, ask your neighbor, ask somebody who knows what it did during Hurricane Isabel. How bad was it during Hurricane Isabel? How far did the water go up? And that will give you an idea. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Isabel. I think this is going to be a bad one, bad enough, but it's going to be a lot different than Isabel, and probably not as bad, certainly not in terms of tidal flooding. We're going to see tidal flooding. I think we're going to see a lot of rainfall eventually out of this thing, too. Just so we haven't neglected these, here's Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Isaac. Neither one of these are going to get us. This one certainly has the possibility of getting us. It's looking very strong tonight. Really distinct eye. It's a real small, tight hurricane, and that's what happens when hurricanes are this strong. They tend to be a little bit smaller in terms of their size, but nonetheless, it could grow yet, too. Here's a look at what's going on with the latest on the storm from the Hurricane Center, 140-mile-an-hour winds. It's moving along west-northwestward now at 13 miles an hour. Here's the latest track, 150-mile-an-hour winds, 9 o'clock at the middle of the Atlantic time. There's where things are. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock, 150-mile-an-hour winds. Now, by Thursday evening, we're starting to get some rainfall, likely by Thursday morning. And by Thursday evening, there's where it is off the coast of North Carolina. It's punched it just a little bit farther to the right. It was just to the right of Wilmington. Now it's halfway between, let's say, Morehead City right into here and Wilmington right into here, making landfall by 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. But you'll note this cone extends really when it makes landfall on up toward Waves, Rodanthe, Salvo, Hatteras, basically, and then on down to Myrtle Beach. Well, after it makes landfall, it spreads out a little bit because of the fact that it's a little bit more questionable where it's going to go, but it's a lot weaker coming up by Friday evening at 8. 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's over land. It's lost its source of steam heat, and then it really falls apart by Saturday. Now, I've added these spaghetti forecast models here to let you know how chaotic it is in terms of where all these models think this thing is going. This thing is likely to just linger out into here by the looks of things right now and dump some heavy rain. I want to show you the euro. It's uncertain, and especially in the very long run. We'll take you into the morning or Thursday evening. This one has got it a little bit closer to Wilmington. Now, this is an earlier forecast model run. The latest one has not yet come out for this one. And then it moves it on up well east of Charlotte. Now, Hugo is memorable. It punched it on up through Charlotte. It's the same kind of strength, but a little bit farther eastward. There's where things are by Friday evening at 7. Huge amounts of rain. You can see 10, 12 inches, maybe 15 inches of rain. That's where it is by Saturday. On into Sunday, it becomes a mishmash all the way on up into Kentucky and just kind of lingers out into here all the way on into Monday, still producing some rainfall, even a few scattered showers on into Tuesday. With that, over 12 inches, as much as 15 inches of rainfall out of some of these areas through Saturday. 6 to 10 inches of rain is possible for our area out of that forecast model that I showed you. Now, this one gets a little wacky. This is all the way on into next Tuesday. And that, just to show you what the uncertainty is with this one doesn't have it making landfall. It just does kind of a loop-the-loop, comes back around, stays strong, stays out to sea for a time, as where it is Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, and then finally making landfall near Wilmington and smearing on up Tuesday toward right on up I-95. Producing a huge amount of rainfall. Now, it's kind of questionable, but that one we have to pay attention to as well. And again, the forecast models are not certain yet about what this thing is going to do. Tomorrow, unrelated to any hurricane, we could see some scattered showers and thunderstorms into the area. Here's where we are for the day coming up on Wednesday morning, on into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and that's where we go through Wednesday. Now, we'll take you to the Euro and show you again what this one thinks is going on. You see an easterly wind. We're likely to see tidal flooding. We're likely to see a whole lot of rainfall out of the area. Again, 6-10 inches of rain is entirely possible for our area. Breaks up a little bit coming up for the day on Sunday with that. Now, Jeremy Wheeler is going to have a lot more coming up on Wavy News 10 today at 4:30 in the morning. And, of course, I will be here during the afternoon, and Dietrich Tate will be here as well. So, again, lots of things, all eyes on Florence, especially from Thursday night into Saturday and Sunday.
Just in tonight, Old Dominion University says it is evacuating students tomorrow. Starting then, the school will stay closed through Sunday. Norfolk State University is also issuing a mandatory evacuation tomorrow. The school is closing at 5 and will stay closed through Monday.